Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama. Barack and I are so thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine because this is a deadly disease, and this vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. Getting vaccinated is safe, and it could save your life and allow us to start getting back to seeing friends and family again. We can do this. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/coronavirus.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
What is Cafe Mocha? Cafe Mocha is experts, celebrities.
What's up? This is Belle Biv DeVoe.
Yours truly, Idris Elba.
This is Fantasia.
This is Invo.
This is India Ari.
Hey, what's up? This is Brandy.
Music and features from a woman's perspective. Intriguing conversation, espresso, the Mocha Mix. So much more. All from a woman's perspective.
What flavor are you, baby?
This is Cafe Mocha.
First Lady Michelle Obama, Kerry Washington, Lena Waithe, Robin Roberts, and Cafe Mocha were just announced as some of the Gracie Award winners this year. The Gracies is an award that honors standout women in media. It's our third, and we're being honored for a little show that honors Marla Gibbs and the rich history of Black television. Check it out. Cafe Mocha begins now.
It's Cafe Mocha, Lonnie Love, along with Angelique and Yo-Yo. I have a question for you ladies. Change.org, there's been a petition put out from some fans of Marvel that want to continue T'Challa's story. And they want to recast Chadwick Boseman for T'Challa. And, you know, they've gotten quite a number of signatures. Now, just to remind the listeners, Marvel and director Ryan Coogler has stated that they would not recast T'Challa. I believe that they're going to either use the sister, which was in the comics, Siri, as the new Black Panther. But a lot of people are feeling that they should recast because there's so much stories. Like if you look at the true comic of Black Panther, there's a lot of story left with T'Challa. And so for true comic book lovers, they feel like, you know, this is something that would be great to show superheroes for little Black boys and little Black girls, and also to show Black men as superheroes. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to know, what do y'all think? Should they recast or should they leave it alone? Move on? What?
You know, I think they should. I mean, when you put it that way, because his legacy is not the entire legacy of the comics. And I think, I think that, it should continue.
I was surprised that they made the announcement so quickly after his death. My preference would have been, hey, we're not recasting this right now. But I think that when you look at Batman, how many Batmans have there been?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Batman has been recast 1,000 times. Superman.
And have you seen Spider-Man lately?
Right. No. Exactly.
And just knowing him as an actor, I don't think Chadwick would say, don't recast me. Right. Now, I would like to see what his widow says. I would like to hear from her. And I think maybe like what you said, Angie, I just think that it's like too soon to make, you know, like it's too soon to be even talking about recasting or not recasting. But I think everybody was so caught up in the moment at that time, you know, that they were like, we're never going to recast him ever again. And so, you know, you have these people, and I really believe the fans are doing it out of love. It's not out of like, we want to forget about Chadwick. It's like, he will always be remembered. He will be the first, you know.
Honorable intentions, but I think long term, we need another Black Panther. Cafe Mocha, looking back at our Gracie Award-winning interview with TV legend Marla Gibbs. It's Cafe Mocha, Angelique, Lonnie Love, Yo-Yo, and on the line, Lonnie Love, please introduce this woman.
Oh my goodness. She is a treasure to us. We know her many characters as Florence from The Jeffersons, Mary from 227. She's a renowned actress. Miss Marla Gibbs, welcome to Cafe Mocha. We will be honoring you September 12th for the Salute Them Awards.
My goodness, thank you.
Now, let's chat, because tell us, what was it like being a young Black female during that time in the 70s trying to make it in Hollywood?
Oh, it was wonderful when I got the news that the Jeffersons was accepting audition for a new series. And I went in and I got the part. So that was great.
You're glossing over the coolest part is that it was only supposed to be like one episode. How do you turn it into a career?
Right.
It was just a one-time guest shot, and I gave it back to the original maid. And as far as I was concerned, that was the end of it. But then they called me back, so great.
Yeah, you were always one of our favorites. People loved you because of your realness, because they could relate to you. And you came in like a mother who was just going to work, and we got a chance to see that inside life.
Thank you.
Is it true? I mean, I hear all kinds of terrible things about Hollywood, but is it true that they didn't tell you guys that the Jeffersons were canceled?
You realize that the network is trying their best to make some money. And at some point, you've been on so long, so they like to lose this, and they have another thing, and replace it with Murder, She Wrote. But we were on 3 times a week. We had 2 reruns and the original show. They're thinking if people didn't say anything, they would still think that we were still on.
Oh.
Because when you're running like 10 years, they might have missed some episodes. So far, nobody had a fit that we were gone because they didn't know we were gone.
Gotcha.
Now, my question, Ms. Gibbs, about the Jeffersons was that it was unlike Good Times, you know, where we're dealing with, you know, the projects and poverty. The Jeffersons, you know, did that make you feel good? What was the talk around that time? Because it was like, this is a black businessman and he has a maid.
I don't know what the talk was in Hollywood. It was okay for us, though. I mean, being an upscale black family, living, because we knew people like that. That's not who we were on the outside, but we knew people like that who lived in wonderful apartments, high-rises, and mansions and things like that. So for us to come in and represent that and be able to represent all different aspects of society was really good. I think the show was successful because different people from different walks of life could relate to us. I represented all the people who just worked for a living and had a boss. Isabel was the person who now had money and donated her time to charity. Roxy was the person who was in an interracial relationship. And then you had Mr. Bentley, who worked for the UN, and so we got to see what it was like to talk about foreign entities and all of that. And then you had Ned Werdemer, who was the doorman. He represented all the people who worked for tips.
I loved him.
Somebody.
That was such a funny character. He just always had his hand out.
I'd like to see if I can switch over a little bit. Mrs. Gibbs, you were around the civil rights movement, Black Power, Watts, Rodney King, all of those things. What do you think about today's movement?
Oh, my goodness, I'm so sorry we're still going through it. But I was in Detroit when King came through with the march. But I wish I had been more involved, but I was not. I was able to take food down into the community during the curfew, to drive down there and take this. My mother had a little church down there. I was able to take food down to them.
July 4th weekend is just around the corner. You know what that means. Essence Festival of Culture presented by Coca-Cola. Mary J. Blige, Jasmine Sullivan, Neo and D Nice, Kirk Franklin, DJ Khaled. Passes available at essencefestival.com. Cafe Mocha looking back at our Gracie Award-winning show on the legacy of black television, which included a little-known PBS show called Soul. It's Cafe Mocha. When you think of groundbreaking black talk shows, what names come to mind? Oprah, right? Arsenio, right? Maybe Nat King Cole? Soul Train? Well, back in the 60s and 70s, there was a show called Soul on PBS. Let's check out a little bit of it.
And now, the very first musical performance of our show, Sarah Dash, Nona Hendrix, Patricia Hope, also known as Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells.
Somewhere over
Sang it, Miss Patty.
Yes.
Oh, goodness knows. Joining us to talk about this groundbreaking show and the show's host, Ellis Hazlip, is filmmaker Melissa Hazlip, who is also his niece. Hey, Melissa, how are you?
Hey, now. I'm glad to be here. How you doing?
Melissa, who is Ellis? Tell us about his show, Soul.
Ellis Hazlip was my uncle. He was such an incredible guy. You know, he was a producer. He was a curator of the culture. He was a curator of Black Joy. He just curated everything. He was in love with our people. And he had this wonderful show on PBS called Soul, S-O-U-L with an exclamation point. And it was on from 1968 to 1973. And it was just incredible because up until that moment, you know, there had not been anything about the true Black America with creativity and vitality. You just didn't see that. There was no other program like this before.
When you look at the documentary, you see, what's the name from Amen? As a poet.
Anna Maria Horsford.
Before she was on Amen, before she was on any of the shows that we've known her for, she was doing poetry on Soul. I looked, and you see so much of that in this documentary. But can you talk about how instrumental he was in kicking off careers for like Ashford and Simpson?
In terms of Ashford and Simpson, you know, they were songwriters. So they were writing for Motown, right? They were writing songs for Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye. But Ellis said, no, you guys should be an act. You should do your own music.
He put them
on the show. He gave them their own show. They gave them a whole show.
Wow.
A whole show. And suddenly they became overnight Ashford and Simpson. And, you know, they talk about that in the film. They say, you know, there wouldn't be an Ashford and Simpson if there hadn't been Soul. He was constantly doing that. Like he put Arsenio Hall on the show as a 15-year-old doing magic tricks.
Wow.
You know,
and we all know what happened to Arsenio. He turned into, you know, a great, wonderful late night host. And so a lot of people, yeah, exactly. So many people are standing on the shoulders. You know, he paved the way for so many of us.
It's Cafe Mocha. On the line, we have Melissa Hazlip, who has reclaimed a very important piece of Black history. We're discussing a talk show that was on PBS in the late 60s, early 70s, that was pretty much the blackest thing on at the time and honestly since. Melissa Hazlip's movie is called Mr. Soul. Yo, go ahead.
Nikki Giovanni was a regular, the Black poet. Was anyone else on TV promoting poetry?
Not at the time. It wasn't really even considered an art form. And if it was on paper. You know, you didn't get to see the all-stars of poetry. In other words, it predated, you know, Def Poetry Jam. But so much of that was because of Ellis Hazlip and a director that he hired that he thought was amazing named Stan Lathan. Stan Lathan was one of the first directors on Soul, and we all know Stan went on to do Def Poetry Jam and so much more. This was the language of the streets. This was the language of our culture.
Melissa, I feel like a big old chunk of my history has just been thrown in my face. I know, I mean, you know, my family's from Brooklyn. You know, they watch Channel 13, yet nobody seems to know about this show. Why?
I know. You know, I like to say it's the greatest show you've never heard of. It was just for real. Like, this is how we get down. We like to have a club. We like to have a drink. We like to smoke. We like to watch, you know, McCoy Tyner or Max Roach or Patti LaBelle. And so he would create that kind of vibe, right? Nobody was checking for us in 68. They just killed Malcolm and Martin, in 68.
Speaking about Dr. Martin Luther King, the show was all about Black power and pride.
Yeah.
So featured leaders of the movement, which I love. Tell us about that.
That was really important for Ellis. And to not just represent singing and dancing, you know, he would say Black culture is not all about finger popping time, you know, just like feeling good. It's about the complexity of our thoughts. It's about our thinking of ourselves as a nation of people, not as a nation of people who fit into a larger narrative, but our own narrative. And who are our leaders? Jesse Jackson was on the show, but also the Black Panthers were on there. You know, Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael was on there.
Your history don't begin 400 years. Your history begins millions and millions and millions and millions of years ago. While the white boy was in the caves, your fathers were building pyramids. The Eiffel Tower is falling. The pyramids are standing strong. You built them, brother.
You didn't see Kathleen Cleaver talking about being a mother, but also being the, communication secretary for her husband, Eldridge Cleaver.
Okay, well, how can people see Mr. Soul? How do they get to see your documentary?
Since everything else is going virtual, why not release the film virtually? So we partnered with cinemas all over the country, the type of theaters that would play an independent film like this. What you do is you go to our website, MrSoulMovie.com, and there's a huge list of like 70 theaters and theater organizations, a couple of drive-ins, and places that will show the film virtually. All you have to do is buy a ticket, and then you can watch it on your computer, on your tablet, or on your TV. It's just $12 to watch the film. The whole family can watch it. You can watch for up to 72 hours. And it's just a way for us to give back and to keep inspiring our people with a beautiful Black film that's all about Black love, Black excellence, and we need that right now.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Melissa Hazlip, documentarian. Her new project is called Mr. Soul. If you want to stream it, learn more about it, go to MrSoulMovie.com. It's Cafe Mocha's Black Music Month Trivia, brought to you by Puffs Tissues. She's an award-winning, classically trained pianist who found success in the 70s and 80s with her signature fusion of jazz. She was the first female musical director for the Grammy Awards, the Emmys, NAACP Awards, and more, and has performed and produced for Stevie Wonder, Herbie Hancock, Prince, Nancy Wilson, Sheena Easton, and Carlos Santana. Her song Forget Me Nots is one of the most sampled songs in hip-hop. One of the world's top jazz pianists, she's Patrice Rushen, Cafe Mocha Salute Them Awards trailblazer. This Black Music Moment is brought to you by Puffs Tissues. A nose in need deserves puffs indeed.
Don't you go anywhere. There's more mocha on the way. Here's your dose of espresso. Strong, hot news now.
This is The Espresso, and I'm Angelique. In almost all 50 states, new laws are being passed to keep people from voting, and Stacey Abrams ain't having it.
What we are watching is an attack on the systems, on the participants, and on the fundamental nature of democracy itself. These bills are anti-voter, anti-election workers, and they're a subversion of democracy.
Stacey said call 888-453-3211 and tell our senators to pass the For the People Act and protect our voting rights. Dr. Dre's teaming up to open a public high school in South Central LA geared at kids who want their own businesses. And on the East Coast, rapper-producer Pharrell is opening a school for 3 to 5-year-olds in Norfolk with this in mind.
Education's historical problem is it tries to address the middle, right? And when you try to address the middle, you got some kids sailing, faster and some kids falling behind. And we wanted to design an experience that was fit for every child's unique traits.
Deadline is July 1st if you live in Norfolk. And all of a sudden, 17 years after everybody was singing the song and made it number 3 on the charts, now people want to cancel a Destiny's Child cater to you. To that, Michelle Williams of the group posted this.
Oh, honey, you didn't discern who you were catering to, and you gave your little pearls to swine. Don't be mad at Destiny's Child.
That's The Espresso. That's my girl Gigi Sweet representing LA. The Mocha Mix never sounded so good. Thank you, Gigi. Welcome to the Cafe Mocha family. That's the show. You can find us on all platforms at Cafe Mocha Radio.
Loving our brothers, men with strength, wisdom, assertive, and genuine in their spirit. It's the Cafe Mocha Swag Awards, hosted by Rashawn McDonald.
Thank you, ladies. It's Rashawn McDonald from Money Making Conversation. This week, I sat down with Cafe Mocha Swag Award winner, Chef Rodney Scott. also known as the Barbecue Pitmaster. He's a James Beard Award-winning chef and founder of Rodney Scott's Whole Hog Barbecue, operating restaurants in South Carolina and Alabama. He is turning barbecuing into a multi-million-dollar business.
I am trying to take over the world. I'm trying to spread the love everywhere. Because whenever you find a barbecue, you find people in a good mood, people having a party, people enjoying themselves. So I was like, why not spread this love all over the world as far as we can? You know, if it's me, it's absolutely great. If it's somebody else, it's just as good. You know, let's put it in as many places as we can. And every time I think about, should I do it in this state? Should I try it in that state? And I say to myself, why not? Just let's do it. And my goal is to spread this love, this Rodney Scott Whole Hog love all over the world.
If you want to hear this full interview with Rodney Scott, please visit moneymakingconversation.com. Keep winning.
We've been on a tragedy.
It's Cafe Mocha's Black Music Month trivia, brought to you by Puffs Tissues. She pioneered the style which came to be known as couture hip-hop with culture. From the iconic Uptown Records, she launched her career by styling over 200 music videos from a who's who in hip-hop and more. She authored the book Effortless Style, Career Lessons on Defining Your Public Image. She's knocked down barriers and opened doors that led hip-hop style into major showrooms globally. She's stylist June Ambrose. Cafe Mocha salute them, woman of style. Cafe Mocha is a production of Miles Ahead Broadcasting in partnership with Compass Media. Executive producer Sheila Eldridge. For comments, booking, or more information, visit cafemocharadio.com.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama, and I wanted to let you know that Barack and I couldn't be more thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine. This is a deadly disease, and we know the vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. It's how we'll start getting back to seeing friends and family and doing all those things we love again. So I hope you'll join me, Barack, and millions of others around the country and get your vaccine as soon as it's available to you. It's safe, it's free, and it could save your life or the life of someone you love. To learn more, just go to cdc.gov/coronavirus. I know it's been a long, hard year, but we can beat back this pandemic. With your help, we can do this.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.